Welcome back to the Buddhist Bookshelf YouTube channel. Today, we will resume our reading of the Sorrowless Flower, authored by Ngoc Tran, known as Dharma named Thien Phuc, and this is episode number 30. 401. Buddha's Lands. According to Buddhist traditions, there are many different Buddha's lands in this universe. The first Buddha land is the Eastern Paradise, which is presided by Maitreya, the coming Buddha. The Eastern Paradise is also the name of the two-seated heaven, the fourth Devaloka in the six passion realms, Duikyaui, or desire realms, the delightful realm, the abode of bodhisattvas in their last existence before attaining Buddhahood. This heaven is between the Yama and Nirmanarati heavens. This heaven consists of an inner and an outer court. Its inner department is the pure land of Maitreya who, like Sakyamuni and all Buddhas, is reborn there before descending to earth as the next Buddha. His life there is 4,000 Sita years, or, each day there is equal to 400 earth years, 584 million such years. The second Buddha land is the Sukhavati or the Western Paradise. Sukhavati means the Western land of Amitabha Buddha, the highest joy, name of the pure land of Amitabha Buddha in the West. The Western Paradise, which is outside the triple realm and beyond samsara and retrogression. The Western Paradise is one of the most important of the Buddha fields to appear in the Mahayana. Amitabha Buddha created the Pure Land by his karmic merit. The Pure Land sect believes that through faithful devotion to Amitabha and through recitation of his name, one can be reborn there and lead a blissful life until entering nirvana. 402. 4 forms of birth. According to the Sanjiti Sutta in the long discourses of the Buddha, there are 4 forms of birth by which the beings of the 6 modes of existence can be reborn. All births take place in 4 forms, and in each case, causing a sentient being to enter one of the 6 gati or paths of transmigration. The first form of birth is the womb-born or birth from the womb. Viviparous, as is the case with mammals, people, cows, tigers, etc. The second form of birth is the egg-born, or birth from eggs. Oviparous, as is the case with chicken, goose, birds, etc. The third form of birth is the moist and wet conditions born or spawn-born, or birth from moisture, wetness. Moisture or water-born, as is the case with worms, fishes, shrimps, etc. The fourth form of birth is the born, birth, by transformation, or spontaneous rebirth. Metamorphosis, as is the case with maggot transforms into fly, moths from the chrysalis, caterpillar becomes butterfly, or deities and superior beings of the Pure Land. It is said that such beings, after the end of their previous lifetime, suddenly appear in this fashion due to their karma, without the help of parents or any other intermediary agency. 403. Sumera Mountain and 4 Saha continents. According to the Avatamsaka Sutra, Polar Mountain, or Mount Sumeru, or Sumera Mountain, the central mountain of every world, wonderful height, wonderful brilliancy. It is a mountain formed from gold, silver, gems and crystal. It is 505,000 miles high. Only heavenly beings live there, human beings cannot see or get there. According to Buddhist theory, Mount Sumeru contained in a mustard seed, and a mustard seed contained in Mount Sumeru. In the world of relativity, it is impossible for Mount Sumeru to be contained in a mustard seed, only the reverse hypothesis is possible. However, in the world of the Absolute, the realm of those who have experienced full enlightenment, both hypotheses can be defended as there is no differentiation with regard to time and space. It is at the top of Indra's heaven, or heavens, below them are the 4 Devalokas, around are 8 circles of mountains, and between them are the 8 seas, the whole forming 9 mountains and 8 seas. According to ancient Buddhist cosmology, there are 4 inhabited continents of every universe. They are land areas and situated in the 4 directions around Mount Sumeru. First, the Uttarakuru or the northern of the 4 continents of a world. The northern continent of the 4 continents around Meru. Second, the Jambudvipa or the southern continent of the 4 continents around Meru. Third, the Gadana, Aparagadana, or Avaragadana or west continent, where oxen are used as money, the western of the 4 continents of every world, circular in shape and with circular-faced people. Fourth, the Purva Vidya or the Eastern continent. The eastern of the four great continents of a world, east of Mount Meru, semicircular in shape. The continent conquering spirits, semi-lunar in shape, its people having vases of similar shape. 404. Dwelling places of devout Buddhists. According to the Buddhism, abiding means abiding in the truth, i.e. the acquirement by faith of a self believing in the Dharma and producing its fruits. Abiding place, one of the 10 stages, resting and developing places or abodes of the Bodhisattva, which is entered after the stage of belief has been passed. Abiding in the fruit, i.e. Sravakas and Pratika Buddhas who rest satisfied in their attainments and do not strive for Buddhahood. Abiding place can be the place of Pratika Buddhas who rest satisfied in their attainments and do not strive for Buddhahood. Abiding place can be the place of arahants who rest satisfied in their arahanthood and do not strive for Buddhahood. Abiding place can be the place of Sravakas who rest satisfied in their attainments and do not strive for Buddhahood. There are only 2 migrations for rebirth, the upper and the lower realms. Truly speaking, sometimes we wonder ourselves that it is difficult for us to imagine that we might be going to the lower realms, or we are currently staying in the lower realms. We probably think that we more or less keep our precepts, perform most of our daily recitations, and have not committed any serious wrongdoings, such as killing or stealing. However, sometimes we are motivated by strong hostility and, as for the deed, we use the harshest words that will really hurt people, so we already created karmas for a lower realm. According to Buddhism, rebirth or not rebirth in lower realms is determined by karma powers, and not by the yellow robe one is wearing or the temple one is residing. Devout Buddhists should always remember that from unwholesome deeds arise all kinds of sufferings in lower realms, and from virtues arise all kinds of happiness in higher rebirths. We cannot be certain of where we will go in our future rebirths. But we can be certain of one thing, that we would not want to continue to create any more karmas for rebirths in lower realms. As a matter of fact, even rebirths in the human realm or the realm of gods are not excluded from sufferings. The human rebirth has the sufferings of birth, old age, sickness, and death. It has the suffering of being separated from the things one holds dear, meeting with unpleasantness, and not finding the things one wants. The demigods also have sufferings, for they do not have any opportunity to encounter and to cultivate the Buddha Dharma. In the end they will fall, so they have not transcended suffering. In short, as long as we are not free from samsara for good, we have not transcended the nature of suffering. Devout Buddhists do not want to say that we want to cultivate this life to set aside the merits for the next life. But if we do not want to fall into the lower realms, we have cultivate right now in this very life. We have gained the optimum human rebirth, and this is the most advantageous physical form to have for the practice of Dharma. We have met with the right conditions, we have met the Buddha's teachings, and so on, but if we do not take this opportunity to cultivate to liberate ourselves now, when shall we ever achieve it? In the 3 realms of mortality, there are 4 abidings. First, the delusions arising from seeing things as they seem, not as they are. Second, the desires in the desire realm. Third, the desires in the form realm. Fourth, the desires in the formless realm. There are also 5 fundamental conditions. These are 5 fundamental conditions of the passions and delusions. These are also 5 states or conditions found in mortality, wherein are the delusions of misleading views and desires. These 5 states condition all error, and are the ground in which spring the roots of the countless passions and delusions of all mortal beings. First, delusions arising from seeing things as they seem, not as they really are, or wrong views which are common to the Trilokya. Second, the desires in the desire realm, or clinging or attachment in the desire realm. Third, the desires in the form realm, or clinging or attachment in the form realm. Fourth, the desires, clinging or attachment, in the formless realm which is still mortal. Fifth, the state of ignorance, or the state of unenlightenment or ignorance in the Trilokya, which is the root cause of all distressful delusion. This is the ground in which spring the roots of the countless passions and delusions of all mortal beings. According to the Sanjiti Sutta, there are 5 impossible things. First, an arahant is incapable of deliberately taking the life of a living being. Second, an arahant is incapable of taking what is not given so as to constitute theft. Third, an arahant is incapable of committing sexual intercourse. Fourth, an arahant is incapable of telling a deliberate lie. Fifth, an arahant is incapable of storing up goods for sensual indulgence as he did formerly in the household life. According to the Sanjiti Sutta in the Long Discourses of the Buddha, there are 6 stable states. Here a monk, on seeing an object with the eye, is neither pleased, sumano, nor displeased, damano, but remains equable, ubhikako, mindful and clearly aware. Here a monk, on hearing a sound with the ear, is neither pleased nor displeased, but remains equable, mindful and clearly aware. Here a monk, on smelling a smell with the nose, is neither pleased nor displeased, but remains equable, mindful and clearly aware. Here a monk, on tasting a flavor with the tongue, is neither pleased nor displeased, but remains equable, mindful and clearly aware. Here a monk, on touching a tangible object with the body, is neither pleased nor displeased, but remains equable, mindful and clearly aware. Here a monk, on cognizing a mental object with the mind, is neither pleased nor displeased, but remains equable, mindful and clearly aware. A bodhisattva firmly fixed or abiding in certainty. After a bodhisattva has completed 3 great asamkhya kalpas, he has still 100 great kalpas to complete. This period is called abiding in fixity or firmness, divided into 6 kinds. First, certainty of being born in a good gati such as in the Deva realms or in the realms of human beings. Second, certainty of being born in a noble family. Third, certainty of being born with a good body. Fourth, certainty of being born as a man. Fifth, certainty of being born knowing the abiding places of his transmigrations. Sixth, certainty of being born knowing the abiding character of his good work. Besides, according to the Sanjiti Sutta, there are 9 abodes of beings. First, beings different in body and different in perception such as human beings, samdevas and hells. Second, beings different in body and alike in perception such as new rebirth Brahma. Third, beings are alike in body and different in perception such as light sound heavens, Abhisvara. Fourth, beings alike in body and alike in perception such as heavens of pure dwelling. Fifth, the realm of unconscious beings such as heavens of no thought. Sixth, beings who have attained the sphere of infinite space. Seventh, beings who have attained to the sphere of infinite consciousness. Eighth, beings who have attained to the sphere of no thingness. Ninth, beings who have attained to the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 33, there are 10 kinds of abode, abiding therein in all things of all Buddhas. First, all Buddhas abide in awareness of all realms of reality. Second, all Buddhas abide in compassion speech. Third, all Buddhas abide in the fundamental great vow. Fourth, all Buddhas abide in persistence in civilizing sentient beings. Fifth, all Buddhas abide in the principle of absence of selfhood. Sixth, all Buddhas abide in impartial salvation. Seventh, all Buddhas abide in recollection of truth. Eighth, all Buddhas abide in the unobstructed minds. Ninth, all Buddhas abide in the constantly rightly concentrated minds. 10th, all Buddhas abide in equal comprehension of all things without violating the character of ultimate reality. Also, according to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of abiding of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can reach the Buddha's supreme abiding in omniscience. First, abiding in the will for enlightenment, never forgetting it. Second, abiding in the transcendent ways, not tiring for fostering enlightenment. Third, abiding in the teaching of truth, increasing wisdom. Fourth, abiding in dispassion, realizing great meditational concentration. Fifth, abiding in conformity to universal knowledge, austerity, contentment, moderation in food, clothing, and dwelling, getting rid of evil, and few desires mean few concerns. Sixth, abiding in deep faith, bearing the true teaching. Seventh, abiding in the company of the enlightened, to learn the conduct of Buddhas. Eighth, Abiding in generation of spiritual powers to fulfill great knowledge. 9th. Abiding in attainment of acceptance, fulfilling the forecast of enlightenment. 10th. Abiding in the sight of enlightenment, fulfilling powers, fearlessness, and all aspects of Buddhahood. In the Surangama Sutra, Book 8, the Buddha reminded Ananda about the 10 grounds or the 10 stages, periods, in Bodhisattva wisdom. The first period is the period of purposive stage, the mind set upon Buddhahood or the mind that dwells of bringing forth the resolve. Ananda, these good people use honest expedients to bring forth those 10 minds of faith. When the essence of these minds becomes dazzling, and the 10 functions interconnect, then a single mind is perfectly accomplished. This is called the dwelling of bringing forth the resolve. The second period is the period of clear understanding and mental control, or the dwelling of the ground of regulation. From within this mind light comes forth like pure crystal, which reveals pure gold inside. Treading upon the previous wonderful mind as a ground is called the dwelling of the ground of regulation. The third period is the period of unhampered liberty in every direction or dwelling of cultivation. When the mind ground connects with wisdom, both become bright and comprehensive, traversing the 10 directions then without obstruction. This is called the dwelling of cultivation. The fourth period is the period of acquiring the Tathagata nature seat or dwelling of noble birth. When their conduct is the same as the Buddha's and they take on the demeanor of a Buddha, then, like the intermediate skandha body searching for a father and mother, they penetrate the darkness with a hidden trust and enter the lineage of the thus come one. This is called the dwelling of noble birth. The fifth period is the period of perfect adaptability and resemblance in self-development and development of others, or dwelling with endowment with skill and means. Since they ride in the womb of the way and will themselves become enlightened heirs, their human features are in no way deficient. This is called the dwelling of endowment with skill and means. The sixth period is the period of the whole mind becoming Buddha-like or dwelling of the rectification of the mind. With a physical appearance like that of a Buddha and a mind that is the same as well, they are said to be dwelling in the rectification of the mind. The seventh period is the period of non-retrogression, or perfect unity and constant progress or dwelling of irreversibility. United in body and mind, they easily grow and mature day by day. In this stage, bodhisattvas realize serenity of mind and also achieve unimpeded liberation. This is called the dwelling of irreversibility. The eighth period is the period of as a Buddha son now, or the stage of youth in Buddhahood or dwelling of pure youth. With the efficacious appearance of 10 bodies, which are simultaneously perfected, they are said to be at the dwelling of a pure youth. The ninth period is the period of as prince of the law or dwelling of a Dharma prince. Completely developed, they leave the womb and become sons of the Buddha. This is called the dwelling of a Dharma prince. The 10th period is the period of baptism as the summit of attainment of the conception of Buddhahood or dwelling anointing the crown of the head. Reaching the fullness of adulthood, they are like the chosen prince to whom the great king of a country turns over the affairs of state. When this Kshatriya king's eldest is ceremoniously anointed on the crown of the head, he has reached what is called the dwelling of anointing the crown of the head. 405. The first absolute truth. The truth is the true principle, or the principle of truth, or the absolute apart from phenomena. The truth is the destructive cause of pain. In Buddhism, the truth is the asseveration or categories of reality. Truth and reality, opposite of ordinary or worldly truth, dini, or ordinary categories, they are those of the sage, or man of insight, in contrast with those of the common man, who knows only appearance and not reality. Besides, in Buddhism, the 4 truths, or 4 noble truths, or 4 philosophies, are a critical example of truth. A fundamental doctrine of Buddhism which clarifies the cause of suffering and the way to emancipation. Sakyamuni Buddha is said to have expounded the 4 noble truths in the Deer Park in Sarnath during his first sermon after attaining Buddhahood. The Buddha organized these ideas into the fourfold truth as follows. Life consists entirely of suffering. Suffering has causes. The causes of suffering can be extinguished, and there exists a way to extinguish the cause. According to Buddhism, the truth is the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. The way of cure, the truth of the right way, the way of such extinction to practice the eightfold noble truths Buddha taught. Whoever accepts the four dogmas and practices the eightfold noble path will put an end to births and deaths. In the Dhammapada Sutta, the Buddha taught, in the untruth the foolish see the truth, while the truth is seen as the untruth. Those who harbor such wrong thoughts never realize the truth. Dharmapada 11. What is truth regarded as truth? What is untruth regarded as untruth? Those who harbor such right thoughts realize the truth. Dharmapada 12. There are two kinds of truth, twofold truth. They are changeless essence and ever-changing forms. First, the changeless essence or substance. Second, ever-changing forms of truth. It's conditioned or ever-changing forms, as in the phenomenal world. Besides, there are also inexpressible and expressed in words. First, the inexpressible absolute, only mentally conceivable. Second, expressible absolute. These are aspects expressed in words. There are also void and absolute. First, the absolute is the void, space, the sky, the clear mirror. Second, the absolute in manifestation or phenomenal, images in the mirror, the womb of the universe in which are all potentialities. There are also nature in bonds and nature set free. First, the Buddha nature in bonds. Second, the Buddha nature set free by the manifestation of the Buddha and Bodhisattvas. There are also the defiled and the purified. First, the Buddha nature defiled, as unenlightened man, water lily with its roots in the mud. Second, the pure Buddha nature, purified or bright as the full moon. Besides, in this world, there are four more truths. First, all living beings rise from ignorance. Second, all objects of desire are impermanent, uncertain and suffering. Third, all existing things are also impermanent, uncertain and suffering. Fourth, nothing that can be called an ego, and there is no such thing as mine in the world. There are also 8 truths. First, common postulates on reality, considering the nominal as real. Second, common doctrinal postulates, the 5 skandhas. Third, abstract postulates, the 4 noble truths. Fourth, temporal postulates in regard to the spiritual and the material. Fifth, postulates on constitution and function of the 5 skandhas. Sixth, postulates on cause and effect. Seventh, postulates o the void or the immaterial. Eighth, postulates on the pure inexpressible ultimate or absolute. According to the Mahayana Buddhist traditions, there are also 9 truths or postulates. Truth on impermanence, truth on suffering, truth on the void, voidness or unreality of things, truth on no permanent ego or soul, love of existence or possession resulting in suffering, fear of being without existence or possession, also resulting in suffering, truth on cutting of suffering and its cause. Truth on nirvana with remainder still to be worked out, and complete nirvana. 406. Ultimate and conventional truths. There are 2 truths, conventional or relative truth, and ultimate truth. By coming to know our everyday world of lived experience, we realize what is known as the world of conventional reality, where the causal principle operates. This is what we call conventional truth, Samvahara Satya. If we accept the reality of this world as conventional, then we can accept the empty nature of this world, which, according to Buddhism, is the ultimate truth, Paramitha Satya. According to Prof. Junjiro Takakuzu in the Essentials of Buddhist Philosophy, this is one of the 3 truths of the Thien Phuc school. The other 2 are the truth of void and the truth of temporariness. According to this school, the 3 truths are 3 in 1, 1 in 3. The principle is one, but the method of explanation is threefold. Each one of the 3 has the value of all. Things are only mean or middle. The same will be the case when we argue by means of the middle truth. The middle does not mean that it is between the non-existence and temporary existence. In fact, it is over and above the 2, nor it is identical with the 2, because the true state means that the middle is the very state of being void and temporary. Absolute truth or the highest truth. This is one of the 4 types of Siddhanta, the highest Siddhanta or truth, the highest universal gift of Buddha, his teaching which awakens the highest capacity in all beings to attain salvation. This is also one of the two truths, the highest truth, the supreme truth or reality, the ultimate meaning, the paramount truth in contrast with the seeming, also called veritable truth, sage truth, surpassing truth, nirvana, bhuttadattha, madhya, sunyata, etc. The other siddhantas include mundane or ordinary modes of expression, individual treatment, adapting his teaching to the capacity of his hearers, and diagnostic treatment of their moral diseases. Absolute reality is also the true nature of all things. The pure ideation can purify the tainted portion of the ideation store, alaya vijnana, and further develop its power of understanding. The world of imagination and the world of interdependence will be brought to the real truth, parinispana. Ultimate truth means the correct dogma or averment of the enlightened. The ultimate truth is the realization that worldly things are non-existent like an illusion or an echo. However, transcendental truth cannot be attained without resorting to conventional truth. Conventional truth is only a mean, while transcendental truth is the end. It was by the higher truth that the Buddha preached that all elements are of universal relativity or void, sarva sunyata. For those who are attached to realism, the doctrine of non-existence is proclaimed in the way of the higher truth, in order to teach them the nameless and characterless state. According to the Madhyamaka Sastra, the Buddhas in the past proclaimed their teachings to the people by means of the twofold truth, in order to lead people to a right way. Though we may speak of existence, it is temporary and not fixed. Even non-existence or void is temporary and not fixed. So there is neither a real existence nor a real void. Being or non-being is only an outcome of causal relation, and, therefore, unreal. Thus the ideal of the two extremes of being and non-being is removed. Therefore, when we deal with the worldly truth, the phenomenal world can be assumed without disturbing the nominal state. Likewise, when we deal with the higher truth, the nominal state can be attained without stirring the world of mere name. Non-existence is at the same time existence, and existence in turn is non-existence. Form or matter is the same time the void, and the void is at the same time form or matter. According to relative truth all things exist, but in absolute truth nothing is. In absolute truth one sees that all things are devoid of self-nature. However, in relative truth, a perception where there is no self-nature. The relative truth is also called the truth of the unreal, which is subject to change, manifest stillness, but is always illuminating, which means that it is immanent in everything. Pure Land thinkers accepted the legitimacy of conventional truth as an expression of ultimate truth, and as a vehicle to reach ultimate truth. This method of basing on form helps cultivators reach the Buddhahood, which is formless. The absolute truth or the ultimate truth or the supreme truth. Ultimate truth means the final nature of reality, which is unconditioned, asamskrita, and which neither is produced nor ceases. It is equated with emptiness, sunyata, and truth body, dharmakaya, and is contrasted with conventional truths, samvati-satya, which are produced and ceased by causes and conditions and impermanence, anitya. The ultimate truth or the absolute truth, bhuttadattha or tadattha, transcending dichotomies, as taught by the Buddhas. The absolute truth, or the truth of the void, manifests illumination but is always still, and this is absolutely inexplicable. The absolute truth is also called the ultimate truth, according to the Madhyamaka Sastra. Ultimate truth means the correct dogma or averment of the enlightened. According to the Madhyamaka Sastra, the Buddhas in the past proclaimed their teachings to the people by means of the twofold truth, in order to lead people to a right way. The ultimate truth is the realization that worldly things are non-existent like an illusion or an echo. However, transcendental truth cannot be attained without resorting to conventional truth. Conventional truth is only a mean, while transcendental truth is the end. It was by the higher truth that the Buddha preached that all elements are of universal relativity or void, sarva sunyata. For those who are attached to realism, the doctrine of non-existence is proclaimed in the way of the higher truth, in order to teach them the nameless and characterless state. Relative truth is also called the conventional truth, superficial truth, or ordinary ideas of things. Relative or conventional truth of the mundane world subject to delusion. Relative or conventional truth of the mundane world subject to delusion. common or ordinary statement, as if phenomena were real. According to the Madhyamaka Sastra, the Buddhas in the past proclaimed their teachings to the people by means of the twofold truth, in order to lead people to a right way. Conventional truth refers to ignorance or delusion which envelops reality and gives a false impression. It was by the worldly truth that the Buddha preached that all elements have come into being through causation. For those who are attached to nihilism, the theory of existence is taught in the way of the worldly truth. According to the Madhyamaka philosophy, Nagarjuna says phenomena have reality of a sort. They are samvati satya, they are the appearance of reality. Appearance points to that which appears. Samvati is appearance, cover or veil, which covers the absolute reality. In short, that which covers all round is samvati. Samvati is primal ignorance, ajnana, which covers the real nature of all things. Samvati or pragmatic reality is the means, upaya, for reaching absolute reality, paramartha. Without a recourse to pragmatic reality, the absolute truth cannot be taught. Without knowing the absolute truth, nirvana cannot be attained. Thus, in the Madhyamaka Karika, Nagarjuna confirmed. From the relative standpoint, the theory of dependent origination, pratitya samutpada, explains worldly phenomena, but from the absolute standpoint, it means non-origination at all times, and is equated with nirvana or sunyata. According to Prof. Junjiro Takakusu in the Essentials of Buddhist Philosophy, if you suppose noumenon to be such an abiding substance, you will be misled altogether. Therefore, the Thien Phuc school sets forth the threefold truth. According to this school, the three truths are 3 in 1, 1 in 3. The principle is one, but the method of explanation is threefold. Each one of the three has the value of all. The truth of void, in which all things have no reality and, therefore, are void. Therefore, when our argument is based on the void, we deny the existence of both the temporary and the middle, since we consider the void as transcending all. Thus, the three will all be void. And, when one is void, all will be void. When one is void, all will be void. When one is temporary, all is temporary. When one is middle, all will be middle. They are also called the identical void, identical temporary and identical middle. It is also said to be the perfectly harmonious triple truth or the absolute triple truth. We should not consider the three truths as separate because the three penetrate one another and are found perfectly harmonized and united together. A thing is void but is also temporarily existent. It is temporary because it is void, and the fact that everything is void and at the same time temporary is the middle truth. The truth of temporariness, in which although things are present at the moment, they have temporary existence. The same will be the case when we argue by means of the temporary truth. The truth of mean, in which only mean or middle is recognized. The same will be the case when we argue by means of the middle truth. The middle does not mean that it is between the non-existence and temporary existence. In fact, it is over and above the two, nor it is identical with the two, because the true state means that the middle is the very state of being void and temporary. According to Nagarjuna Bodhisattva in the Madhyamaka Sastra, the middle path of the twofold truth is expounded by the 5 terms. They are the one-sided worldly truth, the one-sided higher truth, the middle path of worldly truth, the middle path of the higher truth, and the union of both popular and higher truths. First, the one-sided worldly truth, which maintains the theory of the real production and the real extinction of the phenomenal world. Second, the one-sided higher truth, which adheres to the theory of the non-production and non-extinction of the phenomenal world. Third, the middle path of worldly truth, which sees that there is a temporary production and temporary extinction of phenomenon. Fourth, the middle path of the higher truth, which sees there is neither contemporary production nor contemporary extinction. Fifth, the union of both popular and higher truths, which considers that there is neither production and extinction nor non-production and non-extinction. It is the middle path elucidated by the union of both popular and higher truths. Devout Buddhists should always remember that we must verify the truth by means of recourse to personal experience. According to the Kasapatiya Sutra, the Buddha advised the Kalamas on how to verify the truth as follows. Do not accept anything merely on the basis of purported authority. nor to accept anything simply because it is written in sacred books, nor to accept anything on the basis of common opinion, nor because it seems reasonable, nor yet again because of reverence for a teacher. Do not accept even my teachings without verification of its truth through your personal experience. I recommend all of you to test whatever you hear in the light of your own experience. Only when you yourselves know that such and such things are harmful, then you should abandon them. Contrarily, when you yourselves see that certain things are beneficial and peaceful, then you should seek to cultivate them. 407. Bodhisattva's conducts and living beings' conducts. The two words of cause and effect, not only living beings who cannot escape them, cause and effect, even the Buddhas, before becoming enlightened, and bodhisattvas cannot avoid them either. However, because bodhisattvas have far-ranging vision, they avoid creating bad causes and only receive joyful rewards. Living beings, on the other hand, are very short-sighted. Seeing only what is in front of them, they often plant evil causes, and so they must often suffer the bitter retribution. Because the bodhisattvas are afraid of bad consequences in the future, not only they avoid planting evil causes or evil karma in the present, but they also diligently cultivate to gradually diminish their karmic obstructions. At the same time to accumulate their virtues and merits, and ultimately to attain Buddhahood. However, sentient beings complete constantly to gather evil causes, therefore, they must suffer evil effect. When ending the effect of their actions, they are not remorseful or willing to repent. Not only do they blame heaven and other people, but they continue to create more evil karma in opposition and retaliation. Therefore, enemies and vengeance will continue to exist forever in this vicious cycle. 408. The self-living beings, others, and lifespan. The cultivation of no mark of the self, no mark of others, no mark of living beings, and no mark of a lifespan are the most important cultivations of a devout Buddhist. The Vajra Sutra teaches, be free of the mark of the self, the mark of others, the mark of living beings, and the mark of a lifespan. Not having the mark of self does not mean that when it is time to cultivate, you make someone else cultivate for you. To have no mark of self means not to be arrogant and not to scheme for our own benefits. To have no mark of others means not to impede or obstruct other people. If something does not benefit others, do not do it. To have no mark of living beings means to regard all creatures as being of the same substance. To have no mark of a lifespan means everyone has the right to live. Do not take the lives of other people or other beings. So in cultivation, we should never seek anything for ourselves or scheme for our own benefit. We should always try to think on behalf of others. The Vajra Sutra also teaches, all conditioned dharmas are like dreams, illusions, bubbles and shadows. Like dews and like lightning. You should contemplate them thus. Thus the Buddha taught. If one sees me in forms, if one sees me in sounds, he practices a deviant way, can never see the Tathagata. Therefore, sincere Buddhists should always remember that when we cultivate, we should not be distracted by sights and sounds. If not, no matter how long we have been cultivating, we will get attached to the states that we may experience. Sincere Buddhists should always listen without hearing and look without seeing. Once we are truly able to listen without hearing and to look without seeing, we are truly not being distracted and turned by external states. 409. Bodhisattva's purity. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 36, there are 10 kinds of purity. When great enlightening beings are living by 10 principles, they are able to embody 10 kinds of purity. First, purity of comprehension of the most profound truth. Second, purity of association with good associates. Third, purity of preserving the Buddha teachings. Fourth, purity of comprehension of the realm of space. Fifth, purity of profound penetration of the realm of reality. Sixth, purity of observation of infinite minds. Seventh, purity of having the same roots of goodness as all enlightening beings. Eighth, purity of observation of past, present and future. Ninth, purity of non-attachment to the various ages. 10th, purity of practice of all Buddha dharmas of all enlightening beings. Also according to the Flower Adornment Sutra, chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of purity attained by great enlightening beings who arouse 10 kinds of spirit. First, purity of profound determination, reaching the ultimate end without corruption. Second, purity of physical embodiment, appearing according to need. Third, purity of voice, comprehending all speech. Fourth, purity of intellectual powers, skillfully explaining boundless Buddha teachings. Fifth, purity of wisdom, getting rid of the darkness of all delusion. Sixth, purity of taking on birth, being imbued with the power of freedom of enlightening beings. Seventh, purity of company, having fully developed the roots of goodness of sentient beings they worked with the past. Eighth, purity of rewards, having removed all obstructions caused by past actions. Ninth, purity of great vows, being one in essence with all enlightening beings. 10th, purity of practices, riding the vehicle of universal good to emancipation. There are also other 10 kinds of purity attained by great enlightening beings. Purity of determination, purity of cutting through doubts, purity of detachment from views, purity of perspective, purity of the quest for omniscience, purity of intellectual powers, purity of fearlessness, purity of living by the knowledge of all enlightening beings. Purity of accepting all the guidelines of behavior of enlightening beings, purity of full development of the felicitous characteristics, pure qualities, and all fundamental virtues of unexcelled enlightenment. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, there are 10 kinds of pure benevolence of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain the supreme, vast pure benevolence of Buddhas. First, impartial pure benevolence, caring for all sentient beings without discrimination. Second, helpful pure benevolence, bringing happiness by whatever they do. Third, pure benevolence taking care of people in the same way as oneself, ultimately bringing about emancipation from birth and death. Fourth, pure benevolence not abandoning the world, the mind always focused on accumulating roots of goodness. Fifth, pure benevolence able to bring liberation, causing all sentient beings to annihilate all afflictions. Sixth, pure benevolence generating enlightenment, inspiring all sentient beings to seek omniscience. Seventh, pure benevolence unobstructed by the world, radiating great light illuminating everywhere equally. Eighth, pure benevolence filling space, reaching everywhere to save sentient beings. Ninth, pure benevolence focused on truth, realizing the truth of thusness. 10th, pure benevolence without object, entering enlightening beings' detachment from life. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure compassion of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these attain the supremely great compassion of Buddhas. First, pure compassion without companion, as they make their determination independently. Second, tireless pure compassion, not considering it troublesome to endure pain on behalf of all sentient beings. Third, pure compassion taking on birth in difficult situations for the purpose of liberating sentient beings. Fourth, pure compassion taking on birth on pleasant conditions to show impermanence. Fifth, pure compassion for the sake of wrongly fixated sentient beings, never give up their vow of universal liberation. Sixth, pure compassion not clinging to personal pleasure, giving happiness to all sentient beings. Seventh, pure compassion not seeking reward, purifying their mind. Eighth, pure compassion able to remove delusion by explaining the truth. The ninth, pure compassion. All bodhisattvas conceive great compassion for sentient beings because they know all things are in essence pure and have no clinging or irritation, and suffering is experienced because of afflictions of adventitious defilements. This is called essential purity, as they explain to them the principle of undefiled pure light. The 10th, pure compassion. All bodhisattvas know that all phenomena are like the tracks of birds in the sky. They also know that sentient beings' eyes are clouded by delusion, and they cannot clearly realize this. Observing this, enlightening beings conceive great compassion, called true knowledge, which teaches sentient beings nirvana. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure joy of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain the supremely great pure joy of Buddhas. First, the pure joy of aspiring to enlightenment. Second, the pure joy of relinquishing all possessions. Third, the pure joy of not rejecting undisciplined sentient beings, but teaching them and maturing them. Fourth, the pure joy of being able to tolerate evil-doing sentient beings and vowing to save and liberate them. Fifth, the pure joy of giving one's life in search of truth, without regret. Sixth, the pure joy of giving up sensual pleasures and always taking pleasure in truth. Seventh, the pure joy of including sentient beings to give up material pleasures and always take pleasure in truth. Eighth, the pure joy of cosmic equanimity, tirelessly honoring and serving all Buddhas they see. Ninth, the pure joy of teaching all sentient beings to enjoy meditations, liberations and concentrations, and freely enter and emerge from them. The 10th pure joy includes gladly carrying out all austere practices that accord with the way of enlightening beings, and realizing the tranquil, imperturbable supreme calmness and wisdom of the sages. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure equanimity of enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain the supremely pure equanimity of Buddhas. First, not becoming emotionally attached to sentient beings who honor and support them. Second, not being angered at sentient beings who slight and revile them. Third, always being in the world, but not being affected by the vicissitudes, greed, hatred, anger, pride, wrong views, killing, stealing, adultery, etc., of worldly things. Fourth, instructing sentient beings who are fit for the teaching at the appropriate times, while not conceiving aversion for sentient beings who are not fit for the teaching. Fifth, not seeking the states of learning or non-learning of the two lesser vehicles. Sixth, always being aloof from all desires that are conducive to afflictions. Seventh, not praising the two lesser vehicles, aversion to birth and death. The 8th pure joy includes avoiding worldly talk that is not nirvana, talk that is not dispassionate, talk that is not according to truth, talk that disturbs others, talk of individual salvation, and talks that obstruct the path of enlightening beings. The 9th pure joy includes waiting for the appropriate times to teach sentient beings whose faculties are mature and have developed mindfulness and precise awareness, but do not yet know the supreme truth, and waiting for the appropriate times to teach sentient beings whom the enlightening being has already instructed in the past, but who cannot be tamed until the enlightening being reaches Buddhahood. The 10th pure joy includes not considering people as higher or lower, being free from grasping and rejection, being aloof from all kinds of discriminatory notions, always being rightly concentrated by penetrating truth and attaining tolerance. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure giving of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these 10 principles can accomplish the supreme pure magnanimous giving of Buddhas. Pure charity in which the giver expects no return, nor fame, nor blessing in this world, but only desire to sow nirvana's seed, one of the 2 kinds of charity. First, impartial giving, not discriminating among sentient beings. Second, giving according to wishes, satisfying others. Third, unconfused giving, causing benefit to be gained. Fourth, giving appropriately, knowing superior, mediocre, and inferior. Fifth, giving without dwelling, not seeking reward. Sixth, open giving, without clinging attachment. Seventh, total giving, being ultimately pure. Eighth, giving dedicated to enlightenment, transcended the created and the uncreated. Ninth, giving teach to sentient beings, never abandoning them, even to the side of enlightenment. 10th, giving with its 3 spheres pure, observing the giver, receiver, and gift with right awareness, as being like space. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure discipline of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain the supreme flawless pure discipline of Buddhas. First, pure discipline of the body, guarding themselves from evil deeds. Second, pure discipline of speech, getting rid of faults of speech. Third, pure discipline of mind, forever getting rid of greed, hatred, and false views. 4th, pure discipline of not destroying any subjects of study, being honorable leaders among people. 5th, pure discipline of preserving the aspiration for enlightenment, not liking the lesser vehicles of individual salvation. 6th, pure discipline of preserving the regulations of the Buddha, greatly fearing even minor offenses. 7th, pure discipline of secret protection, skillfully drawing out undisciplined sentient beings. 8th, pure discipline of not doing any evil, vowing to practice all virtuous principles. 9th, pure discipline of detachment all views of existence, having no attachment to precepts. 10th, pure discipline of protecting all sentient beings, activating great compassion. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure tolerance of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain all Buddha's supreme tolerance of truth, understanding without depending on another. First, pure tolerance calmly enduring slander and vilification, to protect sentient beings. Second, pure tolerance calmly enduring weapons, to protect self and others. Third, pure tolerance not arousing anger and viciousness, the mind being unshakable. Fourth, pure tolerance not attacking the low, being magnanimous when above. Fifth, pure tolerance saving all who come for refuge, giving up one's own life. Sixth, pure tolerance free from conceit, not slighting the uncultivated. Seventh, pure tolerance not becoming angered at injury, because of observation of illusoriness. Eighth, pure tolerance not revenging offenses, because of not seeing self and other. Ninth, pure tolerance not following afflictions, being detached from all objects. 10th, pure tolerance knowing all things have no origin, in accord with the true knowledge of enlightening beings, entering the realm of universal knowledge, without depending on the instruction of another. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure energy of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain the supreme great energy of Buddhas. First, the physical energy, which includes attending Buddhas, enlightening beings, teachers, and elders, honoring fields of blessings, and ever retreating. The second pure energy is the pure verbal energy, which includes extensively explaining to others whatever teachings they learn without wearying, and praising the virtues of Buddhahood without wearying. Third, pure mental energy, able to enter and exit the following without cease: kindness, compassion, joy, equanimity, meditation, liberations and concentrations. The fourth pure energy is the pure energy of honesty, which includes being free from deceptiveness, flattery, deviousness, and dishonesty, and not regressing in any efforts. The fifth pure energy is the pure energy of determination on increasing progress, which includes always intent on seeking higher and higher knowledge, and aspiring to embody all good and pure qualities. The sixth pure energy is the unwasteful pure energy, which includes embodying charity, morality, tolerance, learning, and diligence, and continuing to practice these unceasingly until enlightenment. Seventh, pure energy conquering all demons, able to extirpate greed, hatred, delusion, false views, and all other bonds and veils of afflictions. The eighth pure energy is the pure energy of fully developing the light of knowledge, which includes being carefully observant in all actions, consummating them all, preventing later regret, and attaining all the unique qualities of Buddhahood. The ninth pure energy is the pure energy without coming or going, which includes attaining true knowledge, entering the door of the realm of reality, body, speech and mind all impartial understanding forms are formless and having no attachments. The 10th pure energy is the pure energy developing the light of teaching, which includes transcending all stages, attaining the coronation of Buddhas, with uncontaminated body manifesting the appearances of death and birth, leaving home and attaining enlightenment, teaching and passing away, fulfilling such tasks of universal good. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure meditation of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain the supreme pure meditation of Buddhas. First, pure meditation always gladly leaving home, giving up all possessions. Second, pure meditation, finding genuine good companions to teach the right way. Third, pure meditation, living in the forest, enduring wind and rain and so on, being detached from self and possessions. Fourth, pure meditation, leaving clamorous sentient beings, always enjoying tranquil silence. Fifth, pure meditation with harmonious mental activity, guarding the senses. Sixth, pure meditation with wind and cognition, silent, impervious to all sounds and nettles of meditational concentration. The seventh pure meditation includes being aware of the methods of the path of enlightenment and contemplating them all and actually realizing them. The eighth pure meditation includes pure meditation detached from clinging to its experiences and neither grasping nor rejecting the realm of desire. The ninth pure meditation includes being awakening psychic knowledge and knowing the faculties and natures of all sentient beings. The 10th pure meditation includes freedom of action, entering into the concentration of Buddhas, and knowing there is no self. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 33, there are 10 kinds of ultimate purity of all Buddhas. First, all Buddhas past great vows are ultimately pure. Second, the religious conduct maintained by all Buddhas is ultimately pure. Third, all Buddhas' separation from the confusion of worldly beings is ultimately pure. Fourth, all Buddhas' adorned lands are ultimately pure. Fifth, all Buddhas' followings are ultimately pure. Sixth, all Buddhas' families are ultimately pure. Seventh, all Buddhas' physical characteristics and refinements are ultimately pure. Eighth, the non-defilement of the reality body of all Buddhas is ultimately pure. Ninth, all Buddhas' omniscient knowledge, without obstruction, is ultimately pure. 10th, all Buddhas' liberation, freedom, accomplishment of their tasks, and arrival at completion are ultimately pure. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 18, there are 10 kinds of purity enlightening beings attain when they persist in non-indulgence. First, acting in accord with what they say. Second, consummation of attention and discernment. Third, abiding in deep concentration without torpor or agitation. Fourth, gladly seeking Buddha teachings without flagging. Fifth, contemplating the teaching heard according to reason, fully developing skillfully flexible knowledge. Sixth, entering deep meditation and attaining psychic powers of Buddhas. Seventh, their minds are equanimous, without sense of high or low status. Eighth, in regard to superior, middling, and inferior types of beings, their minds are unobstructed and like the earth, they benefit all equally. Ninth, if they see any beings who have even once made the determination for enlightenment, they honor and serve them as teachers. 10th, they always respect, serve, and support their preceptors and tutors, and all enlightening beings, wise friends and teachers. Also according to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 kinds of pure wisdom of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain the unobstructed great wisdom of Buddhas. First, pure wisdom knowing all causes, not denying consequences. Second, pure wisdom knowing all conditions, not ignoring combination. Third, pure wisdom knowing non-annihilation and non-permanence, comprehending interdependent origination truly. Fourth, pure wisdom extracting all views, neither grasping nor rejecting characteristics of sentient beings. Fifth, pure wisdom observing the mental activities of all sentient beings, knowing they are illusory. Pure wisdom with vast intellectual power, distinguishing all truths and being unhindered in dialogue. Seventh, pure wisdom unknowable to demons, false teachers, or followers of the vehicles of individual salvation, deeply penetrating the knowledge of all Buddha. The eighth pure wisdom includes seeing the subtle reality body of all Buddhas, seeing the essential purity of all sentient beings, seeing that all phenomena are quiescent, seeing that all lands are the same as space, and knowing all characteristics without impediment. The ninth pure wisdom includes all powers of mental command, analytic abilities, liberative means are ways of transcendence, fostering the attainment of all supreme knowledge. The 10th pure wisdom includes instantly uniting with adamantine knowledge, comprehending the equality of all things, and attaining the most honorable knowledge of all things. 410. Restraint. The worldly way is outgoing, exuberant, The way of the devoted Buddhist's life is restrained and controlled. Constantly work against the grain, against the old habits, eat, speak, and sleep little. If we are lazy, raise energy. If we feel we cannot endure, raise patience. If we like the body and feel attached to it, learn to see it as unclean. Virtue or following precepts, and concentration or meditation are aids to the practice. They make the mind calm and restrained. But outward restraint is only a convention, a tool to help gain inner coolness. We may keep our eyes cast down, but still our mind may be distracted by whatever enters our field of vision. Perhaps we feel that this life is too difficult, that we just cannot do it. But the more clearly we understand the truth of things, the more incentive we will have. Keep our mindfulness sharp. In daily activity, the important point is intention. Know what we are doing and know how we feel about it. Learn to know the mind that clings to ideas of purity and bad karma, burdens itself with doubt and excessive fear of wrongdoing. This, too, is attachment. We must know moderation in our daily needs. Robes need not be of fine material, they are merely to protect the body. Food is merely to sustain us. The path constantly opposes defilements and habitual desires. The Buddha taught about restraining oneself in the Dharmapada Sutra. He who strictly adorned, lived in peace, subdued all passions, controlled all senses, ceased to injure other beings, is indeed a holy Brahmin, an ascetic, a bhikshu. Dharmapada 142. Rarely found in this world anyone who, restrained by modesty, avoids reproach, as a well-trained horse avoids the whip. Dharmapada 143. Like a well-trained horse, touched by the whip, even so be strenuous and zealous. By faith, by virtue, by effort, by concentration, by investigation of the truth, by being endowed with knowledge and conduct, and being mindful, get rid of this great suffering. Dharmapada 144. Irrigators guide the water to their fields, fletchers bend the arrow, carpenters bend the wood, the virtuous people control themselves. Dharmapada 145. What should have been done is left undone, what should not have been done is done. This is the way the arrogant and wicked people increase their grief. Dharmapada 292. Those who always earnestly practice controlling of the body, follow not what should not be done, and constantly do what should be done. This is the way the mindful and wise people end all their sufferings and impurities. Dharmapada 293. As an elephant in the battlefield endures the arrows shot from a bow, I shall withstand abuse in the same manner. Truly, most common people are undisciplined, who are jealous of the disciplined. Dharmapada 320. To lead a tamed elephant in battle is good. To tame an elephant for the king to ride it better. He who tames himself to endure harsh words patiently is the best among men. Dharmapada 321. Tamed mules are excellent, Sindhu horses of good breeding are excellent too. But far better is he who has trained himself. Dharmapada 322. Never by those vehicles, nor by horses would one go to nirvana. Only self-tamers who can reach nirvana. Dharmapada 323. It is good to have control of the eye, it is good to have control of the ear, it is good to have control of the nose, it is good to have control of the tongue. Dharmapada 360. It is good to have control of the body, it is good to have control of speech, it is good to have control of everything. A monk who is able to control everything is free from all suffering. Dharmapada 362. He who controls his hands and legs, he who controls his speech, and in the highest, he who delights in meditation, he who is alone, serene and contented with himself. He is truly called a bhikshu. Dharmapada 362. Censure or control yourself. Examine yourself. Be self-guarded and mindful. You will live happily. Dharmapada 379. You are your own protector. You are your own refuge. Try to control yourself as a merchant controls a noble steed. Dharmapada 380. One who conquers himself is greater than one who is able to conquer 1,000 men in the battlefield. Dharmapada 103. Self-conquest is, indeed, better than the conquest of all other people. To conquer oneself, one must be always self-controlled and disciplined one's action. Dharmapada 104. Neither the god, nor demigod, nor Mara, nor Brahma can win back the victory of a man who is self-subdued and ever lives in restraint. Dharmapada 105. 411. The Buddha's advice. The Buddha advised the four assemblies to turn suffering and disease into good medicine, consider diseases and sufferings as miraculous medicine, to turn misfortune and calamity into liberation, take misfortune and adversity as means of liberation, to turn obstacles or high stakes into freedom and ease, take obstacles as enjoyable ways to cultivate ourselves. To turn demons or haunting spirits into Dharma friends, take demonic obstacles as our good spiritual advisors, to turn trying events into peace and joy, consider difficulties as our joy of gaining experiences or life enjoyments, to turn bad friends into helpful associates, treat ungrateful people as our helpful aids. To turn opponents into fields of flowers, consider opponents as our good relationships, to treat ingratitude as worn-out shoes to be discarded, consider merits or services to others as ragged slippers, to turn frugality into power and wealth, take frugality as our honor. And to turn injustice and wrong into conditions for progress along the way, consider injustice or false accusations as our virtuous gate to enlightenment. 412. 10 Paths of Emancipation. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 paths of emancipation of great enlightening beings. Enlightening beings who abide by these will attain qualities of certainty of enlightening beings. First, evoking transcendent wisdom, yet always observing all sentient beings. Second, detaching from all views, yet liberating all sentient beings bound by views. Third, not minding any appearances, yet not abandoning sentient beings attached to appearances. Fourth, transcending the triple world, yet always being in all worlds. Fifth, forever leaving afflictions, yet living together with all sentient beings. Sixth, attaining desirelessness, yet always most compassionately pitying all sentient beings attached to desires. Seventh, always enjoying tranquility and serenity, yet always appearing to be in company. Eighth, being free from birth in the world, yet dying in one place and being reborn in another, carrying on the activities of enlightening beings. Ninth, not being affected by any worldly things, yet not stopping work in the world. Chong Niam Tot Ka Fop Thi Jian, Mao Chong Dao Tot Ka Viak Lam Kua Thi Jian. 10th, actually realizing full enlightenment, yet not abandoning the vows and practices of enlightening beings. 413. 10 Peerless States. According to the Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 38, there are 10 peerless states of great enlightening beings, which no listeners or individual illuminates can equal. Enlightening beings who abide by these can attain the peerless state of supremely great knowledge and all qualities of Buddhahood. First, those see absolute truth, they do not grasp it as their realization, because all their vows are not yet fulfilled. Second, plant all good roots of goodness, equal to all realities, yet do not have the slightest attachment to them. Third, cultivating the practices of enlightening beings, know they are like phantoms because all things are still and void, yet they have no doubt about the way of Buddhahood. Fourth, though free from the false ideas of the world, still are able to focus their attention and carry out the deeds of enlightening beings for innumerable eons, fulfill their great undertakings, and never give rise a feeling of weariness therein. Fifth, do not grasp anything because the essence of all things is void, yet they do not experience nirvana, because the path of omniscience is not yet fulfilled. Sixth, know that all periods of time are not periods of time, yet they enumerate periods of time. Seventh, know nothing creates anything, yet they do not give up making the way in search of Buddhahood. Eighth, know that the realms of desire, form, and formless are only mind, and the past, present and future are only mind, yet they know perfectly well that mind has no measure and no bounds. Ninth, carry out enlightening actions for untold eons for sentient beings one and all, wishing to settle them in the state of omniscience, and yet they never tire or get fed up. 10th, though their cultivation of practice is completely fulfilled, still do not realize enlightenment, because they reflect, What I do is basically for sentient beings, so I should remain in birth and death and help them by expedient means to settle them on the supreme path of enlightenment. 414. The ceremony of anointment, abhisika. Initiation of baptism or anointment, or sprinkling, or initiation of transmission of power, the process used by Vajrayana, Ma Tong, in which the disciple is empowered by the master to carry out specific meditation practices. According to the Vajrayana, anointment is an official ceremony in which a student is ritually entered into a mandala of a particular tantric deity by his Vajra master. Buddhism stresses on those who come to the ceremony voluntarily, but externalists want to baptize anyone, including those who are dying and have lost their consciousness. Abhisika means initiation, a ceremony that marks a person's entry into a Buddhist group. In esoteric Buddhism, initiation is generally considered to be essential for anyone wishing to engage in ritual or meditation practice. In tantric practice, initiation often symbolically creates a direct karmic link between the practitioner and the focal deity, both antionium. This is the process used by Vajrayana, in which the disciple is empowered by the master to carry out specific meditation practices. Abhisikana means baptism or initiation or empowerment. Inauguration or consecration by placing the hand on or sprinkling or pouring water on the head. Every Buddha baptizes a disciple by laying a hand on his head. An Indian custom on the investiture of a king, whose head was baptized with water from the four seas and from the rivers in his domain. In China, it is administered as a Buddhist rite chiefly to high personages and for ordination purpose. Among the esoterics, it is a rite especially administered to their disciples, and they have several categories of baptism, e.g. that of ordinary disciples, of teacher or preacher, of leader, of office bearer, also for special causes such as relief from calamity, preparation for the next life, etc. According to Prof. Junjiro Takakusu in the Essentials of Buddhist Philosophy, the Shingon school has the ritual of anointment, abhikisa, as well as the ordination ceremony. The area of anointment must be decided with the circles of the two realms. All ritual requirements must be fulfilled. Sometimes the circles are spread out and thereby the ritual area is formed. So the area is called circle. Only the adequate performance of the ritual can make the evoking of any enfolding power of Buddha effective. According to tradition, Subhakarasimha and his pupil, I Ching, transmitted the matrix doctrine, while Vajrabodhi and his pupil, Amagavajra, taught the diamond doctrine. Thus we must presume that there were two traditions of transmission, both being only partial or one-sided. However, the recent discovery of the Tattva Sangraha in Tibet by Professor Tucci and the Vajra Sakara in Japan by Professor Ono makes the old traditions entirely untenable, because the Vajra Sakara represented in the 5 assemblies was kept in secret in the Mai monastery in Omi and Shorin and in Kyoto. The 5 assemblies are Buddha, Padma, Ratna, Vajra and Karma. These being originally the divisions of the diamond realm, it is clear that we had from the beginning the text of the diamond doctrine brought by Subhakarasimha. They were actually the transmission by Subhakarasimha. From this it will be seen that at the time of Subhakarasimha, both the diamond and matrix doctrines were existing in China. Tucci's text is Sanskrit, and Ono's is pictorial explanation, without which a perusal of Sanskrit original often becomes impossible. Students of mysticism may expect a real contribution from the study of these texts. Baptism, anointment, consecration or initiation is the process used by Vajrayana, Ma Tong, in which the disciple is empowered by the master to carry out specific meditation practices, initiation of transmission of power. There are 4 different successive stages of initiation: vase initiation, secret initiation, wisdom initiation, and the last or 4th initiation. When a bodhisattva reaches his last stage of self-discipline, he is anointed by the Buddhas with their own hands and formally inaugurated as one of them. The initiation of empowerment is conferred by a qualified spiritual master. In some Vajrayana sects in Tibet, this is a specific ceremony. The teacher describes how to meditate, and the disciple meditates at that time to receive the empowerment. Merely being present in the room or drinking consecrated water is not considered an initiation of empowerment. One most important thing in the initiation of empowerment is that one must follow the direct instructions of the master and meditate right in front of that master. Some empowerments involve taking only the bodhisattva vows, while others require the tantric vows as well. Some Buddhists believe that the ceremony of initiation of empowerments is given as blessing. They think that the ceremony is some sort of magical blessing, and at the same time they really wish to drink the consecrated water or to be tapped on the head by sacred objects. This is not the correct understanding to the initiation of the empowerment in Vajrayana. As a matter of fact, sometimes some masters give the initiation of the empowerment in the form of a blessing so that people can form a karmic connection with the Vajrayana. For the purpose of the initiation of the empowerment is to plant the seeds for future enlightenment and to introduce one to the meditation practice of a specific manifestation of the Buddha. In this ceremony, the spiritual master will explain the philosophy of the Vajrayana and how to do the meditation of that Buddha or Bodhisattva figure or deity. By practicing according to the master's instructions, one receives unsurpassed benefits. According to Buddhist traditions, every Buddha baptizes a disciple by either one of the below three kinds. According to Mahayana tradition, first, every Buddha baptizes a disciple by laying a hand on his head. Second, Buddhas baptizes a disciple by predicting Buddhahood to him. And third, Buddhas baptizes a disciple by revealing his glory to him to his prophet. According to the Tantric tradition, first, to sprinkle the head with water. Second, Buddhas baptizes a disciple by predicting Buddhahood to him. And third, Buddhas baptizes a disciple by revealing his glory to him to his prophet. Baptize a disciple by revealing a glory to him to his prophet. There are also 5 Abhisikkhani baptism of the esoteric school. First, Abhisikkhani baptism for ordaining acharyas, teachers or preachers of the law. Second, Abhisikkhani baptism for admitting disciples. Third, Abhisikkhani baptism for putting an end to calamities or suffering for sins. Fourth, Abhisikkhani baptism for advancement or success. Fifth, Abhisikkhani baptism for controlling evil spirits or getting rid of difficulties. However, the Abhisikkhani baptism does not wash away all evil spirits or getting rid of difficulties. Externalists believe that no matter what they do, their sins will be completely washed by a so-called baptism, Li Rao Toi. According to the Flower Sutra, chapter 27, there are 10 kinds of inconceivable anointment which enlightening beings received from the enlightened. Once enlightening beings enter the concentration called the pure treasury of the past, they receive 10 kinds of inconceivable anointment from the enlightened. They also attain, purify, consummate, enter, realize, fulfill and hold them, comprehend them equally, the 3 spheres pure. Explanation without violating meaning, inexhaustibility of teaching, impeccable expression, endless eloquence. Freedom from hesitation, truthfulness of speech, the trust of the community, liberating those in the triple world, supreme excellence of roots of goodness, and command of the wondrous teaching. 415. Different kinds of knowledge. According to Buddhist traditions, there are many different kinds of knowledge. However, here are some major knowledges acknowledged by most traditions. The first kind of knowledge is the Pratishtapika. This is one of the 2 kinds of knowledge mentioned in the Lankavatara Sutra. The intelligence sets up all kinds of distinction over a world of appearances, attaching the mind to them as real. Thus it may establish rules of reasoning whereby to give judgments to a world of particulars. It is logical knowledge, it is what regulates our ordinary life. But as soon as something is established in order to prove it, that is, as soon as a proposition is made, it sets up something else at the same time, and goes on to prove itself against that something else. There is nothing absolute here. This setting or establishing is elsewhere designated as samaropa. All where there are none such in reality. Owing to these propositions definitely held up as true, opposite ones will surely rise, and there will take place a wrangling or controversy between the opposing parties. The Buddha advised bodhisattvas to avoid these one-sided views in order to attain a state of enlightenment which is beyond the positive as well as beyond the negative way of viewing the world. There are 4 establishments: characteristic marks, lakshana, definite views, drista, a cause, hetu, and a substance, bhava. The second kind of knowledge is the knowledge of past lives and attainment of the way. According to the Sutra in 42 sections, Chapter 13, Asramana asked the Buddha, "What are the causes and conditions by which one come to know past lives, and also by which one's understanding enables one to attain the way?" The Buddha said, "By purifying the mind and guarding the will, your understanding can attain the way. Just as when you polish a mirror, the dust vanishes and brightness remains, so, too, if you cut off and do not seek desires, you can then know past lives." The third kind of knowledge is the knowledge of regarding reality as it is. The Buddha's doctrine rests on the idea of knowing and regarding reality as it is. This means one should know the true facts about this earthly life and look at it without making excuses, and regulate one's daily conduct of life according to this knowledge and standpoint. The fourth kind of knowledge is the knowledge derived from phenomena. Knowledge derived from phenomena associated with afflictions. Knowledge of like and dislike arising from mental conditions. Consciousness of like and dislike arising from mental conditions. The fifth kind of knowledge is the mundane wisdom, or the ordinary wisdom, worldly knowledge. Ordinary knowledge or earthly knowledge or common knowledge. Mundane wisdom is quite naturally present in anyone. It is the ability to think clearly and to understand comprehensively. There are 2 categories of mundane wisdom: hearing wisdom and thinking wisdom. Hearing wisdom is the accumulation of raw facts through learning, while thinking wisdom is the connection of these facts together to form new knowledge. The sixth kind of knowledge is the supernatural knowledge, or knowledge of the saint or clear vision in future mortal conditions, deaths and rebirths. The supernatural insight into the ending of the stream of transmigration, one of the 6 supernatural powers, abhijnanas. The seventh kind of knowledge is the ordinary wisdom or worldly knowledge. Ordinary knowledge or earthly knowledge or common knowledge. Common or worldly wisdom, which by its illusion blurs or colors the mind, blinding it to reality. The eighth kind of knowledge is the knowledge of relativity, which does not have a nature of its own, but constituted of elements. Dependent on another, that which arises, not having an independent nature. This is only an empirical knowledge. Dear fellow Buddhist, just as the Buddha emphasized the importance of generosity supporting the spread of the Dharma for spiritual growth, we can cultivate this virtue in our digital age. By subscribing, liking, and sharing our channel, you're supporting the dissemination of valuable teachings, much like this Sangha was supported in the past. Your engagement accumulates positive karma for you and helps make the Dharma accessible to a wider audience, a meritorious act indeed. Let's do this with pure intentions, free from attachment and selfishness, fostering a sense of community and supporting our own spiritual journey. These principles, rooted in Buddhist ethics, continue to guide us. You will receive great blessings for supporting the propagation of Buddha's teachings in a very simple way. By subscribing, liking, and sharing to help spreading the Buddha teaching to all human beings. Wishing you and your family always have a peaceful and happy life.